Welcome back to the Fly Box. Got a sweet pattern for you guys tonight. Targeting cutthroat, steelhead, bull trout, you name it, this fly is going to do it for you. The only thing I need from you is a name. I haven't come up with something, so if you guys can come up with a name that I like, first one that comes up with the best name, we'll send you out a couple flies to try out for yourself. So get creative. Let's see what you guys got. So on another note, we've teamed up with Run Fly and Tackle. Super excited. I can't believe it. These guys are awesome. Wonderful shop. They've got fly tying materials, rods, reels, boats, waders, boots, hats, anything, jackets, you name it. They've got it. So we're going to put a link to their site down in the description, so check them out. What an awesome shop. They super knowledgeable guys. So yeah, definitely check them out. They're just over in Coquitlam. Run Fly and Tackle. All right, let's get into this pattern. So in the vise, I'm going to be putting in a Mustad C53 size 6 curved hook. Awesome hook. And I'm going to attach a bead to it, which is going to be a silver bead, brass by Fly Angler, 5/32 in size. So slap that on and we'll get started. Make sure you clamp down that barb before you get started, just so you don't forget when you're on the river or the lake. So lock that in the vise. All right, so for thread today, we're gonna go with a uni thread in white, 6/0. Okay, so start off right behind the bead, do a couple wraps, wrap back, wrap forward, and pull. Rips it off every time, and it's not gonna loosen up your thread wraps. Keep working your way back down to just before the curve in the hook, the bend in the hook there, and grab yourself some white Marabou. The stuff I'm using is by Fly Angler. Really great stuff. So we just need a little pinch off the back, nothing too major. Kind of get those tips aligned. Looks pretty good to me. And measure up approximately where you want it. I always rip some off anyway, so I usually leave it a little bit long. Couple loose wraps over top, lock it in, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to work our way quickly up there. Sorry guys for my reach, get that out of our way. So you can just kind of go over like this, and the reason we're doing that is just so our body stays symmetrical. We don't want a big bump down at the tail end. So get up to the top behind the bead, cut off the excess, get rid of that. Any loose fibers, you can just pinch them off, and then just work your way back down, lock all that into place. Perfect. Okay, from there we're going to go with a little bit of crystal flash in pearl. I actually haven't ripped off a piece, so just bear with me and I'll rip one out real quick. This stuff is pretty deadly. You don't want to go crazy, but a little bit of flash in the tail always helps get those nice fish to get attracted to the pattern. So I'm just going to fold it in half a couple times, cutting as I go, and I'm going to end up with 4 little pieces on each side. So actually, sorry, just before you tie that in, if your Marabou is a little bit too long, find out where you like it and just pinch and rip. You want to always do the pinch rip and not a straight cut. Just looks a little bit more realistic that way. So anyway, get your piece, line it up down one side of the hook shank, give a nice little pinch, couple loose turns. If you have to adjust it at all, go for it, and then just wrap that down to the tail end. Do a couple wraps back up, fold the next piece over, and then just work that side to get that down to the end as well. From there, you're just going to give that a little pull backwards, cut it just past the marabou, and there you go. Nice little tail with some flash. All right, next step, we're going to be using some French mini flat braid from Lagerton. It might be Lagarton. If I'm saying it wrong, either way, let me know. But I know how to use this stuff and it's awesome. So tie that in. This stuff's pretty flat, so you don't have to worry about being uniform all the way up the hook shank. Just tie it in at the end. Couple wraps back till you hit the marabou. Work your way up, and a little whip finish behind the bead. Remember guys, always do that whip finish just in case that anything goes wrong. You're only going to have to start from that last step and not all the way back from ground zero. So I'm just going to put my thread out of the way, do some nice touching wraps all the way up the hook shank. There we go. I leave it on the spool, that way it's a little bit of weight as well as you're not wasting any material. As I've mentioned before, I'd rather not waste the material if I don't have to. So just go around it a couple times. A couple in the back, a couple more in the front. That should be just fine. Whip out the nice Dr. Slicks. Cut that right off. And I always like to do at least another couple wraps over top. Okay, so from this point, we're gonna throw a little bit of a UV bump in here, which is gonna show itself through the hackle that we're gonna wrap at the very end. So for the UV, we're gonna be going with another polar chenille in white. This is medium in size. I love this stuff. I've probably got every single color. Stuff works absolutely amazing. So tie it in, work it down a decent amount so that we can build up a nice little piece of UV, which is going to show through the hackle after we lock that all in. Okay, so do one more whip finish, like I said, after every step, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so kind of work that UV up, the chenille, so it's pointing backwards. Do a wrap. After every wrap, I like to try to pull it backwards again, just to get as much out of it as I can. Okay, that looks good. So we're just gonna lock that down. And then we're on to our final step. Okay, so just a couple over the top, a couple in front, and cut that off as close as you can. Okay, so from here, always just pull it back, give a couple more wraps just to be on the safe side and to get all that UV pointing backwards. Okay, so last step, we're going to be going with some strung rooster saddle long by Fly Angler in white as well. I've already got this piece ready to go, so depending on the length you want, pick out the right feather. Also, depending on how high up you go, the fibers are going to get shorter the higher up you go. So, excuse me. This one I've already tied a few flies on, so some of my other flies are going to have longer fibers, but this is definitely still long enough, so I'm going to continue to use it. So just make sure the curve, top of the feather, is tied in on the top. Leave yourself a little bit of stem there to tie in on, and just tie that in right on the top. So lock it in, bend the stem back, go back over it. Just to be safe, that way you're definitely locked in. And from here, I just find the stem and chop her off. Give yourself one more whip finish, just to be safe. We don't want to lose it at the last step. Pop that out of the way. All right, and with the feather here, we're just going to palmer it back a little bit. And just start doing your rotations. So that was one full wrap. If you want to go sparse, you could tie it in there. I'm going to go with 2 wraps today. So that'll be 2 right there. So get your thread back up, and you can definitely use hackle pliers. I just see, there you go. That's a reason why you probably want to use hackle pliers. So no need to worry. We can definitely fix that. So just go back around. There we are. So come up with your thread over the stem. Over the stem. And go one more time. Then pull everything back, including the stem, and do a couple wraps in the front. And from this point, what I'm going to do is just do my whip finish now. That way I know everything's locked in and I'm safe to keep moving on. So 2 wraps, another 2 wraps. Lock that down as best you can. Cut your thread, and you can use head cement, but I love this stuff from Solar Res. Absolutely amazing stuff, and you don't have to wait for anything to cure or dry. So let's just pop that on. Just a little bit on the top, a little bit on the bottom. And that should be good. So give that a little zap with your torch. And that's it. Done. So you got that last little fiber there. Just kind of pull it forward and rip it down. Pops right off. So that's it. There's the fly. Absolutely awesome pattern. So need your help, guys. Come up with that name. Start sending them in, and I'll announce the winner and the name when we get to it. Okay? Thanks a lot for tuning in, and check out C-Run. Thanks again, C-Run. Talk to you guys soon. See you next week.